Hello my lovely cosy friends, and welcome to my autumn starter pack. Autumn is my favourite season. It's the season to slow down and just take things gently. Now, I have done a couple of other autumn recommendation videos in the past, so I think there's going to be a couple of crossovers in this video, as I definitely gravitate towards my cosy favourites this time of year. Now, let us start with the books. We're going to start with a book that, if you've been here for a while, you will know that it will be on this list, and that is the graphic novel Hooky. This is one of my favourite cosy autumn books. This follows twins Dorian and Danny, who miss their bus to a magical school and end up wrapped up in an ancient prophecy. I have reread this trilogy a number of times and I just love it. The artwork is so cute and colourful, and it's just fun. It's just so much fun. Slightly less fun, we have The Girl from the Other Side. This is a beautiful gothic manga that follows a young girl who is essentially being looked after by a monster teacher. In this world where there's this kind of epidemic where that's turning people into creatures, and so the girl and the teacher can't touch or she'll be infected. This manga is the perfect mixture of cozy and gothic, with an art style that is so different to other mangas out there. Sticking with manga, we have a legendary series, Death Note. This follows Light, who is this really clever teenager who finds this notebook which is connected to like this demon world, and if he writes a person's name in that notebook, they die. This is such a legendary manga series, and if you're thinking about giving it a go, then autumn is the perfect season for this morally grey and dark manga series. Another manga that is great for autumn is Inspector. This follows these two characters who are kind of like half humans, half demons. Demon isn't quite the word that is used, but it's kind of like the Japanese folklore equivalent. I binged the first 6 volumes recently and it was just really good fun. I will say that some of the female characters are, like girls drawn by guys. If you read a lot of manga, then you'll know what I mean. However, it is a fun series and great if you just want to get into the spooky season. Another book for the spooky season is Lockwood & Co. It follows a group of teenagers who are fighting against this epidemic of ghosts. I adore this series. I love all the characters, and it's a great mix of friendship, ghosts, and banter-filled adventure. This next book is a bit of a shameless plug, but it's my own book, Master of Darkness. For anyone new here, hi, I'm Katie K. I am a published author with 2 YA paranormal adventure books released. This is the first one. It follows Jason Dragonheart, who gets thrown into a paranormal world full of vampires, werewolves, and witches. That's all I'm going to say about this one, as it's my own book, which I only really ever promote in autumn. Next we have Vespertine. I hope that's how you say it. And this is about our main girl, whose name I can never sure how to pronounce, who is training to be a Grey Sister, who is a nun who deals with the dead and the spirits of the undead. When her coven is attacked, she awakens this ancient spirit, and with its power she sets off to try and save her people from this ancient evil, so long as this spirit doesn't betray her first. This book is perfect for autumn if you want ghosts, autumnal vibes, and this very complicated enemies to friends situation, which I adore and really want to see more of in books. Another familiar cover, we have The Bone Houses. This follows our axe-swinging heroine Rin, who is a gravedigger who protects her town from the bone houses, which are like walking skeletons. When the bone houses start to attack her town, Rin and a new arrival set off on a quest to find a magical cauldron to put a stop to the madness. I have said this many of times, but this book feels like a dark fairy tale. I just love the way it is written. The next book is a gothic haunted house mystery called Witchwood Not. It's by the same author as Half a Soul, and it's set in an alternative version of Victorian England with magic and fae. It's very gothic and it really pulls you in. I devoured this book in a single sitting, so I have nothing but good things to say about it. Another book I have nothing but good things to say about is The Ghost Cat. This follows a cat who is a ghost and his 9 hauntings in Edinburgh across time. This book is heartwarming and magical with this rich setting in this moody street of Edinburgh, and it's just wonderful. Next we have A Discovery of Witches. This follows Diana, who is a witch and a professor at Oxford, as she gets mixed up with a vampire called Matthew and this mysterious book. It's like a fantasy, dark academia, romance, and it just really pulls you in. And the setting, even though obviously it has vampires and witches, the way the author writes this makes it feel very believable, and you really just get pulled into this very autumnal story. Moving on to classics, and we have Frankenstein. This follows Victor Frankenstein, who becomes obsessed with life and creating his own being, which he does. He creates a creature and things just go downhill from there. This is a fantastic book, and it's one of those that has shaped the genre of Gothic classics. Next we have Dracula. This follows Jonathan Harker, who ends up getting mixed up with this Count Dracula, who is a vampire. This, a bit like Frankenstein, is one of those books where I feel like we know a lot about the character of Dracula from media and different film adaptations and stuff, but few of us have probably actually read the original work, and the story is told through diary entries and through letters between characters, so it can seem a bit intimidating, but it's really worth the read. It is just, it really pulls you in. Finally, we have Sherlock Holmes. There's just something about the Sherlock Holmes mysteries that makes me think autumn. The novels follow Sherlock Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson as they solve crimes. He is a consulting detective, so each story is a different crime or mystery, and there's just something about them that suits the autumnal months. Moving on to film and TV shows. Now I'm going to start with the adaptations of some of the books that I've already mentioned. So we have the anime of The Girl from the Other Side, the anime of Inspector, and the anime of Death Note. There are also the incredible live-action versions of Lockwood & Co. and A Discovery of Witches. These are both, these series have perfect casting, and their autumnal vibes is just on point. They are perhaps 2 of my favourite book to film adaptations. There are a number of Sherlock Holmes adaptations, from the movies to Sherlock to Elementary to the Eleanor Holmes movies, all of which are great and perfect for this season. Next up is one of my favourite autumnal shows, and one I cannot wait for the next series for, and that is Only Murders in the Building. This follows a trio of neighbours who start a true crime podcast together to solve a murder that takes place in the block of flats where they live. This show is peak autumnal vibes, the setting, the cozy murder mystery, it's just wonderful, and I highly recommend giving it a watch. It's really funny as well. Another cozy favourite of mine is BBC's Merlin. This is one of my all-time favourite shows. I grew up watching it, and it used to air in autumn, so I just associate the series with that time of year. It's just a fun, magical fantasy series. There's also a lot of Halloween movies. I personally love the Halloween Town movies. They are my favourite cozy spooky movies. I absolutely adore them. I watch them every Halloween, along with Hocus Pocus, which is just another absolute classic cozy Disney Halloween movie. Moving on to games. Cozy gaming is great for every season, in my opinion, and most of these games can be played across the year. However, there's just something about those colder and darker months that just make me want to snuggle up with a blanket gaming. Games like Legends of Zelda, any game in the series would work. However, there's something about Breath of the Wild with its open world that just feels very autumnal. Another open world game that has autumnal vibes is Hogwarts Legacy. This does take place across years, but the Halloween and autumn time is just, it's just so aesthetically pleasing, to be honest. Next we have my favourite, Animal Crossing. This is basically a farming sim style game where you can take care of your island and your villagers. The in-game season match real life, but I always think it looks the prettiest in autumn. It feels so cozy. Next we have Wildflower, and this is another kind of farming sim but with a witchy twist. Or if crafting games are more your thing, then I recommend Witchy Life Story, which is a very basic kind of crafting game but with another witchy twist. Or there is Witchwood, and I love this game. It's a crafting adventure game set in this gothic land of fables and fairy tales. You play as an old witch and explore this strange magical land and collect ingredients and brew enchantments, and you just be a bit of a grumpy witch, which I just love. Finally, we have activities. The first one that comes to mind is pumpkin picking. I love pumpkin picking. Pumpkins are one of my favourite vegetables and I love making pumpkin soup. And the atmosphere of just being at a pumpkin field is pretty magical and just full of the autumnal vibes. It's autumnal vibes at their peak. Another autumnal activity is making soup. I love soup. You will see an excess amount of footage of me making soup from now on till probably about May. Sorry in advance. But if soup is not your thing, then perhaps you could try baking an autumnal treat. I love making shortbread ghosts as I just think they look really cute, but there are loads of autumnal recipes out there for you to find one that works for you. Also, going on an autumnal walk, there's just something so magical about seeing all the leaves change and just the colours that nature brings out during autumn. So even if it's cold, wrap up with a nice scarf and a thick coat and try and enjoy some of the beauty that nature has to offer in this season. And finally, cozying up with a blanket and a hot drink and enjoying a cozy hobby. Be it reading, colouring, embroidery, gaming, watching a movie, any type of hobby. Cozy up and enjoy it. That brings us to the end of this starter pack. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe found something new to enjoy this autumn as well. If you have any other autumnal recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know what you do or watch or read to get into the autumn spirit. And until next time, my lovely cozy friends,